my practice in the morning, some breeze exercising, and some chakra ventilation. Thing is that my Anahata, Visuddha, Anya, and the third chakra are very present in my body. But Swadisthana and Mooladhara, I can't feel it. No matter how I try, I can't feel anything down there. Can you suggest me to do something to start feeling something there?
Let me ask you, why are you so particular in feeling that?
Sorry?
Why are you particularly wanting to feel it?
No, I'm just, no, it's not that. It's that I presume that I should feel like I feel on Anya chakra is very present, the sensation there. In the same time, there is no presence down there. So I ask myself why.
Yeah, why I ask that question is, in meditation, what is available at the moment of meditating is what is there. If you try to recreate or create anything there, then it will take longer time for it to settle. So if there is no sensation that is happening in a particular part of the body, then you don't have to create that feeling there to draw your attention and to feel what is going on. That's not actually the purpose. That's why I asked the question. But anyway, if you are really feeling that there is nothing happening or there is no sensation there, so that may be a problem there. And this kind of worries, if it comes, then you have to do something about it. So, if you really particularly wanting to see what is going on in a particular part of the body, the only possibility is to bring your attention to that part. As you know, the base two centers are little bit of heavy centers. Mooladhara is associated with food, security, and shelter. And all kinds of insecurities, stubbornness, possessivity, jealousy, acquisitiveness, all these kinds of heavy things are there in that chakra. Whereas when you get into, as you know, when you get into the second chakra, it's also a heavy chakra. It gives, it is associated with pleasures, sex, family, creativity, imagination, pride, and associated emotions are all there. So if these two centers, if you don't feel anything, that means your pranic activity is not staying in that particular centers at that time when you were meditating. Our attempt actually is to go from the lower centers to the higher plans. So you are meditating for that purpose. And naturally there won't be any sensation there because your attention is not there. Your attention may not be there in food security and shelter at that moment. And maybe sex, family, creativity, imagination, and pride are not the concern for you at the time. So that may be the reason why there is no sensation there. And that is not a negative thing. It is a positive thing if it is not happening. then the worry which is there, why? It is, I could feel all the rest of the part of the body or the psychic centers, except these two, so there must be some problem. And this idea is dragging you out of the meditation. No, I will not say that out of meditation, dragging you to an intention to come down into the lower plane of existence. Do you want to do that or not? You understand, this is heavy centers. Maybe of some reason these heavy centers are relaxing and not doing any activity there. And maybe the activities might have settled in some ways. Temporarily maybe, not permanently. And when it is settled naturally, it is not actually good for you to drag it into that lower planes. Thereby, all the normal, mundane, passionate things could surface and drag you there. But I'm not saying it is bad, it is not bad, but if it is not happening, why should you do that? I strongly recommend you not to bother about it. When you are sitting and meditating, what is shown is what is active at the time. Then, if there is a physical trouble that you feel associated with these particular centers, certainly you have to address that. Physical problems, I mean, for the base chakra, if the energy is not moving in the base chakra, certainly there could happen certain troubles. Basically, the troubles may be hemorrhoid, fistula, constipation, or difficulties to hold the waste inside, loose evacuation. And on the mental side, this is the physical side. On the mental side, heavy insecurity, anxiety, worries, possessiveness, jealousy. All these heavy things are there. So if this kind of activities in the mental plan is going on, you have to address it. If the physical troubles that you feel, as I suggested, if you feel, then you have to address it. If none of these are there, actually you have to simply remain without manipulating it. And with regard to the second center, which is Swadishtana Chakra, which is associated with sex, family, creativity, imagination, feeling proud about yourself. And then the allied stress, the associated stress that could happen for a person is coming in these particular regions of the body associated with urinogenital areas. So if there is nothing like that, then you can simply ignore it. On the other side, in the psychological side, if you are depressed for some reason, you feel isolated, then you feel you are abandoned, then you cannot express your passion, or you don't feel that someone who is nearby you is not feeling any kind of love towards you, or this kind of emotions, if it is shooting up in your psyche, certainly it needs to be addressed. Otherwise, you can simply ignore it for the time being it will work after some time. And then that's the time it has to work. Then another thing which a practitioner has to think about is when you are focusing on a particular center, what happens in that particular center? Your attention is dragged into that particular center with the additional supply of an energy to the center. So your attention is actually associated with energy movement. So when you are focusing your attention to that particular point, certainly there will be a additional movement of energy in that area that can stimulate the center. So if you really wanted to do that, the possibility is breathe into the center. As you were doing the channeling technique, you are just dragging the prana to the center and do holding there, but don't try this because it can sometimes give you surfacing of very strong, very old memories. These are practices. So bring the breath to the center. It is not for a general class I'm saying. As you have asked the question, being a practitioner for many years, I'm suggesting, but don't try the rest of the group if you are not a practitioner. You bring the breath to that particular center, hold your breath there until you start to feel it. Long kumbhaka, long retentions. When you started to hold the breath a long time there in that particular center, you started to get stimulation there. And this is like waking up a sleeping serpent. And if you are ready to handle it, you can do that. Otherwise, it's better to leave it as it is so that when it wants to come into a live form, it will happen without any intervention or any additional program introduced into it. But if you really wanted to try, you can try what I was saying, but when you are very, very composed. As you know, we have a lot of conflicting memories there in the mind, in our memory boxes. From childhood onwards, we were doing many things which are acceptable and non-acceptable. The second chakra is a social chakra. So we are very aware of the social consequences of everything that we have done in the second chakra. So if you have not gone with the normal social norms, there could be conflict. And these conflicts, we keep it in the memory boxes without anybody see it and anybody know about it. But it is there within ourselves. So by holding this kind of strong emotions or conflicts, and there could be heavy pressure in these particular psychic centers that it can do some malfunction in these particular centers. And you have to look whether it is those malfunctions that is happening there is not letting you experience anything there. That you have to carefully look. If it is there, careful channeling I should say, can stimulate the center and you can get back into the normal condition. And then there is another reason. When you are meditating, if you are meditating for an hour, like what we have done. Within the 1 hour cycle of breathing, there will be 20 minutes. Normally, earth element should be dominant, will be dominant. When the earth element is dominant for 20 minutes, if you are a really balanced person, 20 minutes. During the 20 minutes, your base chakra will be active. And then 16 minutes, water element will be active, which is corresponding with the second center. Corresponding with the second center. And so, you have to check whether your breath has sufficient length when you are breathing. If your breath is having sufficient length, as if the vibe of the breath is reaching to the genital area and to the perineum region, certainly you can manage it even if there is a trouble. By some kind of stress, we may not be able to breathe deeply. And so the vibe of the breath would never come to the base regions. And normally, when you are in meditating, maybe these two centers were not getting the sufficient nourishment by the concerned elements. And that may be one of the reasons. It is not a problem. Because if you are sitting 1 hour, it will come at certain point in the first center and in the second center. And so if you are sitting 1 hour and nothing is happening, then you can feel or think that, yeah, I have to re-regulate my breathing system to re-establish the balance in my breath, balance of elements in my breath. And that needs to be looked into. Otherwise, if there is no problem and if nothing is sensed by you during the process of your meditation, you don't need to worry about anything. It simply means that now the pranic flow is not there. That's a positive thing for a meditator because the chances for surfacing of emotions or memories corresponding to the first and second chakra must be heavy things, and that's not coming up. And that is good for a meditator to go into peaceful state. So don't worry about it. Then look carefully how you feel exactly. There are a lot of things which one should know to actually figure out what's going on. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Shanti. Thank you very much.